Hey, this is Askren here, and I'm going to make a little addition to that last video we did. We did top 5 do's and don'ts of parenting. I really like that video. I think it's good. I think it's fun, but I think it maybe leaves a little bit of the wrong impression. It leaves the impression everything's kind of soft and fuzzy and warm and all good. And you know, being a champion, it is hard and it takes a lot. So I want to add a few important things into that. And I think the thing that's going to close that all up and make me, in addition to those parenting things, and this video is kind of for the parents but kind of for the coaches too, is having what I call having exacting standards. So we're having really exact, high-level standards of expectations for kids. Now, parents are supposed to parent and coaches are supposed to coach. There's only rare occasions where the parent is the coach, obviously, and then he's in both suits. But that parenting video, that was geared mostly towards parents who try to do too much when they just need to take their kid to a tournament, show them some support, but let the coach do most of the work. Okay. So here's what I mean when I say have a high level of standards. I mean that when I was at the University of Missouri, and our goal was to be a team national champ, okay, everyone was held to the same exact high level of standards as the next person. Okay, so we were all expected to be on time to practice. We expected to be there every single day. We trained, seriously 9 to 10 months a year, and then and even in the other 2 months where we were off, we were really still training. Everyone held everyone accountable. It wasn't just the coaches holding us accountable. It was us holding each other accountable because we all wanted the same thing. We were driving towards the same goals. So we had a really high level of standards. Now, obviously, if I go back to something like the Ninjas program, so that's at Askren Wrestling Academy, we call it Ninjas in Training. That's our 5 through 9-year-olds. Now, we're not going to have those same level of standards, right? Because we're not expecting our 5 through 9-year-olds to win an NCAA Division I Team National Championship. So we're going to have to lower our standards a little for them. So what we're going to do is, we're going to lower our standards, but we're still going to have standards. So really, for our program, for our 5 to 9-year-olds, we only have 4 rules. Listen to your coach, bring your hustle, do your best, and never give up. So that's fairly simple because we're not expecting a whole lot out of that group. But now as we move up levels, right, so we go from youth to middle school to high school to college, as we move up levels, the standards are going to get higher and higher, and the expectations will get higher and higher. Okay, now, where I think parents come in here, and I do think parents have a certain level of expectation they need to have of their children. So, for example, my parents, they really only had 2 expectations out of me. Okay? Number 1, they always told me I could either play sports or I could get a job. And they said, well, getting a job's stupid because you can have a job the rest of your life, so you might as well play sports. So they expected me to stay involved, okay? And, it was a year-round thing. So, in the beginning when I was a kid, I played all the sports. And then, when I quit baseball to wrestle more. When I quit football, it was to wrestle more. So they always wanted to have me involved in something, and that was their expectation. And if I wasn't involved in athletics, I had to get a job. Number 2, they expected me to work hard. So if I was going to do something, I needed to work hard at it. They didn't let me slack at anything. And so those are not too much for parents to have. Be involved and work hard. That's simple. That's a good moral value for your kids to have. Now, they didn't tell me. Well, I think one time in the 5th grade, my dad told me when I did a single leg wrong or something, and it caused a big commotion. And they never did that again. Okay, because really by the 8th grade, I knew how to do a single leg well better than he did. So where the parents get involved too much, they try to tell their kids what they did wrong. But most parents themselves don't really understand the nuances of wrestling. They don't understand the ins and outs. So really, just stay back. Let the coaches coach. Let them do their job. Now that was the parenting side. Let's go into the coaching side. Now here are some of the mistakes I see coaches have when it comes to having standards. Okay, number 1, too many standards, and having standards that aren't important. So, I see some coaches, when they start their season, they have a list of like 74 rules that their kids are supposed to follow. In my opinion, that's too many. And if you have 74 rules, really there aren't going to be 74 important rules. So a lot of those rules, the kids are going to pay attention to. And what kid can even memorize 74 rules, right? So if you know what I'm saying, so we don't need to have too many standards as a coach, okay? We need to have a few important ones. The second, this is probably the number 1 biggest mistake that coaches make. The standards have to apply to everyone, okay? So that means from the best guy on your team to the worst guy on your team, your standards apply, okay? So that means if one of your rules is you need to be on practice, if you are going to compete the next day and the star guy doesn't come, and you're going to lose the meet tomorrow because that kid missed practice, that doesn't matter. Rules apply. Rules are the rules. And you know, that first one kind of feeds into the second one. When you have too many rules, it's hard for people to follow them. Therefore, they're clearly going to break some because they can't even remember all the rules. That leads to being really tough to apply the rules. Okay, so we want to have rules that are simple and that can apply to every single person on your team, no matter how good they are or how bad they are. Okay. Number 3, and this is really important. So pay attention here. You got to walk the walk when you talk the talk. So what that means is, if one of your coaches says being on time, practice is important, you got to be here on time. If you're on time, you're kicked out of practice, and that coach is late to practice. Okay? Or that coach is saying we got to work hard. This is a serious practice, and he's off joking in the corner, or he's off texting on his phone. Now, kids are smart enough to see when the message that's being delivered isn't being actively carried out by the coach. So, you know, I think that was one of the best things Coach Messmerink did when we were in high school. And, you know, I know it's not possible for all coaches, but Coach Messmerink actually trained with us. He worked harder than every single guy in the room. So when he set standards, we couldn't say, oh man, this is crap, we're working too hard. Because Coach was out working us, okay? Well, he had us be there for a 6 a.m. run, and a lot of programs would say, man, this sucks, we gotta be here at 6 a.m. for a run. Coach was running fast, he was laughing at us, okay? So you gotta walk the walk and you gotta talk the talk. So here's my suggestion. When you're making standards for your program, okay, first of all, consider the level of expectations you have on them. So for our 5 to 9-year-olds, for our real youth kids, shouldn't be held to the same level of expectations as in middle school, shouldn't be held to the same level of expectations as high school, should be held to the same level as college. So as we're going up, we're holding to a different level of standard for each person. But let's start with a few really good standards. So, you know, my suggestion, I love what my parents did, is be involved and work hard. So, you know, work hard, that's my number one. I expect hard work out of all kids. And if I come to an academy practice, you know, I'm not coaching college anymore, but if I come to academy practice and I see kids slacking off, man, that ticks me off, because that is one of the only things I expect out of them. Okay? I expect them to work hard. If they're not working hard, I'm going to be pretty ticked off. Okay? And then obviously if you want to add from that, so that's one of my own rules. And then once you can get guys to follow a couple rules, then you can start adding a few more in. But you never want to get to too many. So I think this is one of the most important things for coaches to think about when they're creating the foundation for their program, is what kind of standards do they want to hold their program to. And once they set those standards, you got to follow them, because if they're not being followed, chaos is going to ensue. Okay, so this is a follow-up to the program of top 5 do's and don'ts for parents. It can't all be warm and fuzzy. We got to have some tough, nose to the grindstone type of stuff, and that I think is found in having exacting standards, letting kids know what they are, letting kids know they have to follow the standards if they want to be part of the program.